Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
The City of Sigourney will be accepting bids for the removal of snow. All sealed bids must be received by 4 p.m. on Monday, November 4th at the City Clerk's office at 100 North Main in Sigourney. Interested parties will be responsible for snow and ice removal from the sidewalks listed on the screen, as well as all the steps into the Memorial Hall. The snow and ice must be removed in a timely manner and according to the City Code of Ordinances. The successful bidder will be responsible to purchase ice melt and provide any equipment used. You may review a copy of the contract by contacting the City Clerk at City Hall. The 2024 Hunters Breakfast, provided by Watch Your Fire and Rescue, is this Saturday, October 26th, at the Watch Your Fire Station from 7 to 11 a.m. They'll have sausage, bacon, eggs, pancakes, biscuits, and gravy, and carry-out is available. Everyone is welcome, and a free will donation will be accepted. For the 2024 Watch Your Fire and Rescue Hunters Breakfast this Saturday morning from 7 to 11 a.m. at the Watch Your Fire Station. Delta Fire and Rescue presents the Delta Haunted House at 109 North Center Street in Delta. Admission is just $10 per person. The Delta Haunted House is open each Friday and Saturday throughout October and on Halloween night from 8 to 10 p.m. Food and drinks will be available for purchase, and now accepting cash and most major credit cards. It's the Delta Fire and Rescue Delta Haunted House, Fridays and Saturdays in October and on Halloween night.
Welcome to this edition of Morgan Asked For podcast. Kind of a switch here. Trevor is at home, and I'm on the road in a hotel room tonight down in Florida here to help my uncle kind of get some things organized and stuff like that, just trying to help him out a little bit. Headed back up home in a couple days and back for the weekend and stuff. But on the road here in a hotel room in Gainesville, Florida, in Gator Country.
How is it down there? Is it warm?
It's nice. It's warm. It was kind of it's about 80 degrees, but it's humid here, so it's more like a summer day. But on Monday when we got here, it was like 78 degrees, and it was actually like 81 degrees in Iowa. So it was actually a little bit warmer, but the humidity's still here, and back home the humidity's obviously in the fall is not near what it is in the summer.
No, that's good. You go drive by the Florida Stadium. Go check that out at all.
I have not. I have before. I've been down here before. I have not yet. One of the things we did do, we're about, he lives a little bit outside of Gainesville, kind of towards the ocean a little bit. We're about 45, 50 miles to the ocean. And yesterday we did drive out there with him. He hadn't been out there since the hurricane, and Hurricane Debbie is the one that hit up closer to here. And, kind of an entire Cedar Key, I believe is the name of the town. And it's, all the restaurants and bars that are on the ocean and everything are they're not even attached to land anymore. They've got a long road ahead of them, lots of work being done. They're tearing everything down. Lots of cranes, lots of crawlers and dump trucks and people working. But it's going to be, a long winter for them. Obviously, they're probably going to try to get everything back ready to go for spring break next year and then for next summer.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of pictures and videos from the damage down there, so hopefully they can get that cleaned up here pretty soon, and hopefully you're having a good time down there, seeing family and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's not necessarily a fun trip. There's just some things we need to do and take care of to help him out. But it is always good. I obviously, he's lived in Florida my entire life, so I don't see him often. We've been down here a few times, and he's been up a few times, but it's not enough. All right, that's kind of enough about kind of just lives. Anything cool with you, Trev, just in life or anything?
Not much, just at home. So nothing too exciting going on.
You get snow yet there? I mean, obviously I did see that they got a bunch of snow in the mountains and stuff. So,
yeah, Pikes Peak has some snow. It's a lot of it's melted, but it's supposed to start cooling off come this weekend and then moving forward. So, snow's not too far away from being on the ground here.
Yeah. All right. Transition to sports here. Iowa State comeback win. We've talked about this. The number one thing for Iowa State to do right now is just to win football games. Obviously, you'd love to cover. You want to win convincingly. But as long as they win every football game, everything else will shake out and it will be whatever it is. And obviously, I was there. One of the best atmospheres at Jack Trice I've ever been in. I've been to a lot of games there, since we've talked about this since 1998 when I went to school there. I've been to most of the games there, not all of them, but most of the games there. And it's loud, it's full, it's exciting. And when they scored that touchdown with 30 seconds left, it was pretty invigorating in there, and that crowd absolutely lost it.
Yeah, from watching from home, you could tell from the broadcast that the stadium erupted, what you expected given the situation. So, yeah, they got the win. It wasn't pretty. It was close to looking like a loss. Now you got a bye week before Texas Tech, another home game. So you hope that Iowa State comes out more ready than they did in this one.
Yeah, it was one of those. Iowa State is really good against the pass. They with that 3-3 stack that they play, stopping the run is harder for them. And Gus Malzahn, South Florida or Central Florida is very much a running first team, and that's what they do. They throw it horribly. So it kind of took away Iowa State's strength. Iowa State likes to try to stop the run enough to make you throw it, and then we'll take advantage of passing. And they had a pick the other night. They didn't allow any passing, but they were patient enough in their game plan, and that's the best thing they do is to continue to run. And the other thing that happened the other night is they only had one drive where they really drove down. Everything else was big plays. 2 big running plays by their running back, 1 big running play by their quarterback, and then 2 essentially pick sixes. 1 was a pick six, and 1 ended up being down at the 1-yard line because he dropped the ball before he got to the end zone, and there was no clear recovery. So they got the ball where he fumbled it at the 1-yard line. So it wasn't like they drove down. It was a pick six. It was a pick, and one of the picks was a drop. He caught it, dropped it, and they picked it up and took it. And then 2 big runs. So there's 28 points, and then they scored on the first drive of the game, which is kind of Iowa State's MO is they let them go down and score. I'm not going to say they let them, but that's what they did. They scored a first touchdown, and then 2 big runs and 2 pick sixes. And there's your 35 points.
Yeah, you wonder that UCF player that dropped the ball before the end zone. We see that 2 or 3 times every year in college, every once in a while in the NFL. For the life of me, I don't understand why guys continue to do that, because you see it on the highlights. All these guys got social media. They have to see it. That's pretty embarrassing. And, speaking of that play, we'll get into another one here later, but I think teams are going to have to be more aware when the ball hits the ground around the end zone. You got to teach your players to go get on it just in case of a situation like that, because it happens every once in a while.
And you can't blame Iowa State for not falling on that ball. And what most of the time happens is the ball rolls out of bounds or rolls out of bounds after it gets in the end zone, and then it's easy. It's just a touchback, or it's out of bounds where maybe it went out of bounds at the half-yard line or whatever it is. But they're just sat right in the middle of the end zone on the E at Iowa State and just sat there. No one picked it up. Obviously, you'd love to have your players jump on it, but as soon as that official raises his hand and signals touchdown, you assume and think that it's a touchdown and the play's over, turn around, run back to your bench. And a lot of people were booing everything, but the officials did what they could do. There was no recovery, so they have to put it back where it was. The officials did that rule correctly, and unfortunately it did essentially just prolonged it 1 play. But it would have been a big play if it had been a touchback, but unfortunately it wasn't.
Yeah, the refs made the right call since nobody tried to pick up the ball or get on it after he dropped it. So, there was no clear possession otherwise. So it was the right call. It's just you see this every year in college football and even in high school. Guys showboating a little bit, dropping the ball right before the goal line, and it's like you would think at this point guys would learn, but I guess not.
Yeah, and that's where, like a Barry Sanders that always handed the ball to the official. That's where that comes into play, and I know coaches say it, and the issue is that guy's super excited. He's a defensive player. He doesn't score very often, and he's not thinking that. He's like, holy smokes, we're beating a top 10 team on the road. We're way underdogs. I just made a huge play. Everything but crossing that goal line and doing and handing the ball to the official is the last thing on his mind.
Yeah, he was definitely excited, but I don't know. The more and more we see guys do this, like I said, it'll probably continue because there's been enough proof over the years of, hey, don't do this, and guys continue to do it. So I'm sure it'll happen year after year moving forward. Yeah,
so can't blame anybody. I want to get into Rocco Becht a little bit, the quarterback. The week prior at West Virginia had a super emotional game, had a great football game. His dad went into the Hall of Fame. His mom was a West Virginia athlete, is from West Virginia. His dad is from Philadelphia, not super far away from West Virginia. And he went in there, and, if your mom and dad are athletes there, and obviously they were New York Jets, they were in New York or lived in Florida, wherever they lived. But he cheered for West Virginia when he was little, and he probably still cheers for West Virginia when he's not playing them, and probably deep down wanted to play for them or have a chance to play for them and never got that opportunity. Played a great game, came back against a much inferior team than West Virginia, I believe, and did not play well. But when it was needed and when plays needed to be made, he made the plays. And he did it more with his legs in this game. He carried the ball 20 times, had 90 yards, and then 2 touchdowns, and then the 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game to make them get a field goal just to tie. Over the course of the game, he only completed 43% of his passes, and it was just one of his worst, probably his worst statistical game as a Cyclone quarterback, but the best game overall, and in a great leader and comeback victory for the Cyclones.
Yeah, he had all the reason in the world to kind of hang his head, was having a bad game with those picks, but he came through at the end. And I did want to focus on one play. I know I text you, and maybe you know where I'm going with this, maybe you don't. It's they get a first down with 1:04 left at the UCF 19, and he spikes the ball. And to me, that's a big no-no. There's too much time left in that situation. If there's 30 seconds left, I understand spiking it, but in that situation, downs are more important than time.
Yeah, and I thought it was
and it almost cost him. Now it didn't, what ifs and all that type of stuff. But second down incomplete, third downs where you got the penalty, which I thought it was the right call. But that flag, at least on TV, that flag came late. If that flag doesn't come, all of a sudden you're at 4th and 10. So I thought that spike was a big mistake because you cut your chances of getting a first down by 25%. And maybe they didn't have the right personnel or whatever and panicked a little bit. But I would hope in the future you'd have a play ready to run there because there was 1:04 left. That's plenty of time from the 19-yard line.
Yeah, I did not like that either. Just you're wasting it down. As you said, it ended up not mattering. He ran it 2 times inside because there was still – I think he ran it and got tackled at the 2-yard line, and they still had 30 seconds left. And so they ran to the line, and he snuck it in from the 1. Obviously – and they scored with 30 seconds left. So they obviously had plenty of time. And that was coming right at us where our seats are. The pass interference was – that was right at the corner, right in front of our seats. And it was the right call. The issue was the official standing right there didn't throw the flag. It was the back judge over by the goalpost that threw the flag. Now, the hand fighting happened between the player and the official that was standing closest, so he might have been blocked out a little bit, but they did not call pass interference at all game long, either team. It just was not called. There was hand fighting and just, I thought, holding and pass interference on both teams. Obviously, he was doing it as well. And it just wasn't called all night long. And they finally called one, and we needed it. like you said, it would have been 4th and 10 from the 19-yard line, I believe. And really with only 3 downs to have a chance. But I want to go back a little bit. This is the second game that Iowa State has been able to win with punting the football with about 3 minutes left. And both situations, they came back and won the football game. And the 2-minute timeout, I think, has helped Iowa State win 2 football games that without this 2-minute timeout, they don't win. Iowa State got the football back. I believe it was 1:30, no timeouts, and 80 yards to go. But they were able to call all 3 of their timeouts on defense plus the 2-minute timeout. And in that, it was one of those Central Florida got 1, maybe 2 first downs in that drive. And if they would have got 1 more, it would have been over. But they stopped them good enough. And I think it would have had to been 1 less first down for them without that 2-minute timeout. Then obviously with Iowa State versus Iowa at Kinnick earlier in the year, second game, Iowa State needed all the time because they kicked that field goal with 4 seconds left. So